I received salvation on March 29th, 2023, so a couple months back. And what made me realize my need for salvation was a test for school, ironically. And now, prior to this point, I thought I was good. I thought I had already received salvation. I thought I was like headstrong, right? Come to find out, when this test came, it was a major, important test. It really tested me and my so-called faith that I already had. And so a lot of anxiety and doubts just started stirring up in me. So that day, got up and went for a walk in the park. And I felt the need to take my Bible with me, so got to the park, plugged my AirPods in and everything, and I started listening to one of Byron's sermons. And well, as I'm walking in the park, it was really windy that day, ironically. The wind kept blowing the pages, and so the sermon was on John 19, but the wind kept blowing it back to John 16, the end of John 16, verse 33. And I kept fighting. I kept turning back to John 19, and it kept blowing it back to John 16. And so finally I was like, all right, I'll read this. And as soon as I read it, it said, "In the world you'll have tribulation. Take heart, I have overcome the world." And I was just like cut. Like I was like, oh, that's a pretty strong verse, you know. And I'm walking through the park, and I already proclaimed to already have salvation, but why am I fearing this test so much? You know, and all these questions just started arising in my head. And well, then I started digging a little bit deeper, and I had more questions. I started thinking, well, am I truly a Christian? Has my life really reflected what I'm supposed to say? Have I really produced fruit? The answer to that question is no. You know, and I was just, all these thoughts and doubts just started filling my head, and in that moment, I'm bawling, I'm crying, and in that moment, and I just cried out to God, and it was in that moment that He saved me. And I tell you, to this day, there was just like this peace that came rushing into all my doubts and everything, saying, "Be still." And I was like, okay, you know. And it was from then on that I can say that I have been redeemed. About 8 years ago, I proclaimed to be a Christian. I thought I was saved. And the reason being is because, well, I saw my other siblings, they were receiving salvation. And so I thought, oh, well, if I just say the right words with my parents, then that's what's going to save me. So one fateful day, I went up to them and was like, hey, I want to get saved. Now, granted, of course, it was more of an emotional experience. That's what it was. And so they took me in the room and they asked me, you know, hey, you want to receive salvation? I was like, yeah, sure. And when I said those words, I didn't mean it. It wasn't true. It wasn't true to my heart. They were more like empty words being spit out into the air. I was, you know, indulged in my sin. I had no desire to go to church, if I'm being honest. I'd only go to church really to just mark it off my religious checkbox every week, as well as, you know, doing good works to make myself look better rather than doing, you know, helping somebody out for the kingdom or anything like that. The wrong motive in mind. If you'd asked me, hey, are you a Christian? I'd be like, yeah, sure, you know. But now that I've been redeemed, and you asked me that same question, hey, Ryan, are you a Christian? I can say with confidence, yes, you know, and I've received salvation. Like, it's crazy, you know, it's almost baffling even to now. But since my life has been changed, I have more of a desire to go to church. I want to be connected in the church so that I can be in fellowship with other believers and stuff like that. I felt the Holy Spirit convict me numerous times in certain areas of my life, as well as more of a desire to read His Word and really dive deeper into His Word, you know. And probably the craziest thing is every time I tell my testimony, I like get this like joy inside. But it's I don't know how to describe it, you know. It's exciting, you know. when it came to the point where I received salvation, I had built up so much doubt about what God could do in my head and in my mind and everything. And if you really are doubting what God says, then read His Word. It's all right there. It's all laid out for you right there. Going to church, that's good. Trying to be a good person, that's good. But that's not going to get you into heaven. More importantly, that's not going to save you from the wrath of God. The only way to be truly saved is if you have faith in Him alone, and that Him is Jesus. And that's the key. I would like to thank my mom and dad, who have been, I think, really instrumental in teaching myself when I was a kid all the way up until now about salvation and who Jesus is and who God is and sin and how you come to the point of salvation. I do feel like that God used them to really plant the seeds in my life. First and foremost, I could use some prayer and some boldness, to be able to give the gospel to those people around me. So at work, my friends at school, or even at school, my family, those who haven't received salvation yet, as well as being diligent to a daily Bible study at home. Burning desire to be faithful to encourage other believers around me. Those would be my top 3 prayer requests. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek.